Hello and welcome back to another video. I've done my thoughts on the TF2 mercenaries, I've done my thoughts on DDLC characters. Now it's time for my thoughts on the main Undertale characters. Once again, I'm reading my dialogue off a screen, so enjoy. It's interesting how we name our character at the start of the game only to see everyone calls us human, and that we never actually name the person we play as. It's interesting how Frisk even has their own name, but never says why they entered the underground, or really anything. The only talking Frisk does is the talking we can't hear, so who knows what this genderless child is thinking. And while Frisk is supposed to be genderless, there's plenty of hints in the game to imply Frisk is a girl, but then again, Toby Fox made them genderless on purpose. Since Frisk is clearly their own person and can make their own actions in some scenes, I'd say they're capable of both great good and great evil. Wait, no, I'm talking about the player. Right from the start, Flowey seems cute, he seems friendly, but he is the mastermind behind some great idea and ends up being the prince of the underground, stuck in a flower by terrible fate. It's stated that without a soul, monsters are incapable of feeling emotion, so it's easy to be evil for Flowey. Of course, he practically waits the entire game to backstab Asgore once you've weakened him, only to absorb the souls and become an abomination. While Flowey is the antagonist of the story and will help the player in genocide by shutting down puzzles, even he cannot compete to the player's insanity. Or the fandom, for that matter. Honestly, isn't Toriel the best mother you could ask for? Right at the start of the game, she saves you from Flowey, then leads you through puzzles, gives you a home, feeds you, reads you stories, and cares for you. I can honestly say I never had much of a connection to my mother or stepmother, and I'd love to meet Toriel. What's weird is I have a strange sense of taste and usually don't like pies. But I'd love to taste one of Toriel's butterscotch cinnamon pies. Really though, Toriel is so nice. How could you ever kill her? Poor goat mom. I didn't exactly like Sans before I played Undertale or after. When you first meet him, he creepily stalks you and slowly approaches from behind only to pull a joke. I can't say I enjoy Sans' threatening jokes either. In fact, I agree with Papyrus on his jokes. You know what's incredibly stupid? The universal language is violence. Violence is why everyone loves Sans. By killing everyone, he ends up giving a hard fight with epic music, interesting dialogue, and extreme attacks. But the only thing that makes him a formidable opponent is when you absolutely deserve to be punished. Otherwise, he's practically pinching you. I really can't take a joke, so the whole get dunked on thing kind of ticks me off. I can't believe this guy ended up being the iconic character of the game. Is Papyrus constantly shouting or just talking really loudly? I mean, he speaks in all capitals, so he clearly is. It's strange how Papyrus does more damage than Sans and can actually take a hit unlike him, but his attacks are not nearly as hard. In fact, he's more of a warm-up. While his puzzles are completely idiotic, at least he is passionate and mentally determined to capture you to become popular, only to learn you share the interests he has and decides to become your friend. When he cannot defeat you, and decides to become your friend when he cannot defeat you. At least Papyrus, like Toriel, has the decency to not kill you and just leave you at low health. Papyrus also cooks spaghetti, and I've made pasta before too. The thing is though, when you take cooking lessons with Undyne later on in the game, you get an idea of who Papyrus is learning from. And speaking of Undyne, I must give Undyne credit for being both physically and mentally determined. Wait, monsters don't have much physicality. Either way, Undyne ends up generating her own determination whether it's a neutral or genocide death. And what's also interesting is how Undyne the Undying has twice the health of Omega Flowey, which is essentially Flowey with the 6 human souls, and Undyne just ended up generating her own determination to save Earth. I seriously hate genocide lovers, and Undyne is absolutely doing her job when everyone is suffering to her in the genocide run. So it's hard not to root for someone's destruction. I must say, Undyne could be a little nicer in general, but at least her fight is fair in which your soul is given a shield when you're frozen. I'd be lying if I said I hate alphys, because honestly, how many of us relate to alphys on a regular basis? Watching stuff, constantly checking social media, saying you're busy when you're actually not. I can relate to alphys saying watching someone on a screen makes you root for them, but I should give her credit for taking action and evacuating everyone in the genocide run and choosing not to fight back, even though she possibly opted out later on. I like how Undertale makes the monsters seem like people instead of mindless killing creatures. We can all relate to alphys. Since when were robots able to be fabulous or popular? On the internet, most robots are annoying, but Mettaton. Wait a second. Technically, he isn't a robot. He's a ghost with a robot body, thanks to Dr. Alphys. Well, forget I said anything then. Either way, Mettaton was pretty good at acting if he and Alphys were able to play a lot of people during a third of the game. I always thought Mettaton was some egotistical, annoying, self-absorbed robot, but after his phone call with Napstablook and his will to stop the player in genocide, he really does care about people. The whole dance fight in the pacifist run, it was pretty fun. And it's a shame that he was fragile in the genocide run, because, well, Toby Fox was going to make Mettaton Neo a hard boss battle, but he didn't want you to feel powerless before reaching the Hall of Judgment. So who knows how formidable of an opponent he could have been. Honestly, I think I relate to Asgore more than Alphys. I also love tea, I try my best to be nice and polite, and attempt to rebuild lost friendships. I would have gotten upset if Kara and Ezreal died too. And I would have declared war on humanity as well, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to hurt anyone either. I know how to fight just like him, but I don't want to do it. If Asgore truly had intent to kill, wouldn't he use his full 80 attack on you during his battle? Sad how most people just acknowledge him for the game over screen and genocide ending. And it's even more sad how there's only one ending where Asgore lives. In the end, Asgore's a nice guy. He just happens to be a guy who has lost practically everything to humans, including his adopted human daughter. Upon entering New Home in a pacifist and neutral run, the monsters you have met throughout the game tell you a story of how Kara fell into the underground, grew attached to Ezreal, and they attempted to free everyone and ended up dying, also resulting in Ezreal becoming a soulless flower. At first, I was confused as to how he was there when I saw him, but it was fun having a rainbow-colored epic final battle for the end of the pacifist run. But what's also interesting is how he knew you could just reject death, but also he played fair with you by not using his infinite damage. I mean, come on. Other than saving Ezreal by bringing out his emotions and reminding him that his sister is dead and he is alone, you really can't defeat him given his infinite attack and defense. Not to mention his ability to stop you from moving or doing literally anything. Honestly, Ezreal's a sad character. He can't be saved. It's even more sad how he made it clear that he cared about Kara more than anyone, and then lied to you saying he preferred you just because Kara never told him why she hated humanity. Well, at least Kara saves your soul for him, so there is a happy ending for him. You're just not around to see it. Let me just start by saying, #Kara Protection Squad. Do you think Kara is evil? Well, let's start by considering who went around killing everyone. Kara does not enforce genocide, she does not support it, and she wouldn't want you to finish it. But right after her brother is killed, she takes action and decided to erase you and all that's left because you killed everyone she cared about, leaving the world to be pointless. Upon erasing everything, this includes Napstablook and the Amalgamates, both invincible beings. Seriously, do you really think someone can defeat Kara? She cannot die, she has no soul. And even then, she scales to Ezreal stats, infinite attack and defense. She can erase you and everyone in your universe in a single slash no matter what it's directed at. She can bend the physics of reality and take away your control. She cannot be defeated, she is virtually God. Honestly, horrible to blame Kara for all the killing you did when she just wanted to free monsterkind and destroy humanity. And considering how horrible the humans are in Undertale, she's a bit justified in doing so. Honestly, I don't know if I consider Kara a human given her god power and how Asgore mentions he misses her. I know Kara is also supposed to be genderless, but there's plenty of hints to imply Kara is a girl too, and also, I'm about to change your entire perspective on her. Asgore's a king, right? And Toriel's a queen, and Ezreal is a prince. If they adopted Kara, doesn't that make her a princess? The thought of a child with a red knife being God and loving monsterkind being a princess. Ridiculous, isn't it? Either way, I've made it more than clear enough on my channel that I hate the fandom for how Kara is treated. And it's also why I stay out of 90% of it 90% of the time. Either way, I'd save Kara and Asriel if I could. Oh wait, there's an ending for that. Ah yes, W.D. Gaster. Wingding's Gaster. Guy gets a lot of popularity when we hardly know him. I mean, he is the icon of my channel. Of course, nobody's going to give him credit for inventing the so-called Gaster Blaster Sans uses. But at least we acknowledge he's a brilliant scientist who built the core and created Sans and Papyrus. We never speak to him or have a battle with him, so it's interesting what the fandom comes up with for this character. But either way, it doesn't change how much of a mystery he is. But not only is he my channel's icon, but I also use the disturbing sounds that play during entry number 17 as my voicemail when I don't pick up the phone. While he is a mystery, for all we know, Kara could have knowledge on him and could have been friends with him, or maybe Sans knows about him, or maybe even Flowey. Who knows? Well, thanks for watching, or more or less listening. I think we can all agree the fandom is more evil than all the characters combined, and most of them aren't really bad in the first place. Seriously though, Frisk x Sans, Frisk is supposed to be genderless and never even talks. And why ship the characters that spend literal hours battling? Or why ship at all? Okay, why ship at all? Okay, forget I said any of that. See you in the next video.